あ、ミュ
Okay.
ートにして。
Oh, mute this. Good side. All right. All right. Minasan, this is like Massacre After Hours. Massacre After Hours. Jermaine here is moving to Japan and recently
Yeah.
got his Certificate of Eligibility process. Now, I actually wrote down the word in Japanese, but I actually do not know how to say it. But I'm going to post in the chat because it's long and
It is a long
maybe
word.
it's a long word. So I'm going to post it in here. I have it. Um, and we're going to, and it's okay with Jermaine. We'll conduct some of it in Japanese and some of it in English. We'll kind of do a little bit back and forth if that's okay.
Okay.
I'll do some of the easier ones in English. I mean, in Japanese, and then the harder ones in English. So let's start off. First question is, what was the process of obtaining the certificate of eligibility like?
So it was a lot of paperwork. A lot of a lot of things you got to do is actually because I was getting this through marriage. I was more proving the marriage itself. I've been with my wife for 7 years now, so they really wanted to see the entire thing. Messages, photos. They wanted to literally see that this relationship was real.
And your wife was born in Japan.
Yes.
Okay, so she's a full Japanese citizen who came to Canada. You guys met and
Yeah,
then
we met here.
got married here in Canada.
No, we
Oh,
got
no, no,
married
no.
in Japan.
Oh, you got married in Japan. Oh, okay.
It for because we knew we were gonna get married. Let's do it the fastest way to do it possible.
Oh,
And there's a more of a process here in Canada than it is in Japan.
really? Oh, that's must be a first time ever.
In Japan is really simple. I once it was done, I was like, wait, we're already married? We're legally done?
Hmm.
But because it's also recognized in Canada,
Oh, so the
they,
Japanese message, the marriage in Japan is recognized in Canada.
yeah.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. Okay.
So because of that, it didn't really matter where we did it. Let's do it in the spot that makes it easier.
Oh, okay. Wow. That is okay. That's good. Okay, so then you had to provide a lot of paperwork to show that your marriage is real. So pictures, I presume, uh,
Picture,
messages between each other.
yeah,
You guys, I presume, live together.
yeah.
So you had to. Did you have to prove that?
No, we didn't have to prove that we live together because it's just showing all of our interactions,
Mm.
photos and stuff that would show that we are together.
Mm.
But
Oh.
it's also like we have to set up like what's my plan to be out there. Also, there is a lot of like savings and they want to see a record of how much like money so you're not going there and gonna be stuck out there stranded. They also want to know like what kind of family that you have in Japan in case of any emergencies and stuff like that. And kind of like a general outline plan of what you want to do in Japan.
And I presume that your family out there in Japan would be your wife's family.
Yes.
So where does your wife's family reside? Like which prefecture or part of Japan?
Yeah, Katsura in Chiba.
Oh, in Chiba. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So your wife's family is originally from Chiba. Would they have to sponsor you, or do they?
It's kind of like a sponsorship in a way, but more of a person to contact. Like this is
Mm.
your so they know that you have somewhere like just in case something happens, like this is your family. Like you're not there on your own.
Can you tell us a bit about the application process of getting the certificate? And actually, maybe define for us the certificate of eligibility and what part of the process is it for moving to Japan?
So the eligibility is actually the most important part. This is the part where like where you set your plan, where you prove the relationship and everything. And it took about 3 months to get. And it's actually a lot quicker than I expected. If I stayed in Japan, I it probably would have taken maybe a month. maybe 2 months. I've heard it's faster, but I was already in Japan for a while that like my travel visa was gonna be running out by that time. Like I didn't want to put any wrench and be like, oh, you're already here, you've been past the time. I didn't want no kind of issues. So I came back first.
Mm.
So the process took a little bit longer. And
And
then after you get this certificate, at that point you have 3 months to not only get apply for the visa here at the Japanese embassy, because it's not actually a visa. It's not telling me that I'm allowed to go to Japan yet or in that kind of capacity. I go first, apply with this certificate to get a visa, and within 3 months, get the visa and go to Japan.
now,
And
is this certificate mainly for the spousal visa, or does it apply to other types of visas, long-term visas?
so this process was for spouse visas,
Okay.
but there are also other processes if you're going to do for other like working holiday and stuff like that. They have a similar thing.
Okay, so but the certificate of eligibility specifically is like using for the spouse visa. Do you know if it applies to any other type of visas? Like, is it only for spouse, or can it be applied? Like, is the process also applicable for?
And that I'm not 100% sure, but I can imagine that it's very much applicable.
Okay. All right. Well, so 日本語で日本に行ったことを決めた理由は何ですか？
何理由？
引っ越して。
私の理由、
日本に引っ越してなんで？
前にあ会社はクビになった。
お
そう、いろいろな、仕事考えて、でも、新しい、新しい状況欲しい。
ああ、そうか。
そう、like 若いから若いまで、若い中に
まだ若い。
新しいことをしたい。
大冒険に探してる。大冒険ね、Great Adventure。日本に。
日本の会社探して、
日本に、新しい会社探してる？
探してる。
どんな会社？ブラック企業？
酒でブラック企業。
ブラック企業なんだっけ？どんな会社？
多分テレビゲーム会社。
テレビ会社？
テレビゲーム。
ゲーム。テレビゲーム。何個番会？ニンテンドーとたり、その会社？ゲーム？
そのゲーム。でも、小さい。
小さい。
小さい会社好き。
インディペンデントゲーム会社とか？
そう。
OK。はい。英語で。So, what kind of preparations have you been making to move to Japan?
Right now, I have the place behind me is kind of deciding what to do with it, because it's either I'm like, do I sell it? Do I actually rent it out to someone? I don't know. I'm trying to think about what to do with this.
Oh, you mean your place here in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, a lot of studying because I'm trying to beat the competition, because as a programmer, there's a lot of jobs out there that don't need any Japanese. Yeah, because programming is programming, and the language is the language of programming, but you just need to be able to speak with your coworkers, your teammates, and stuff like that.
So
So
you
the level of Japanese is much lower.
so you don't need N2 or 1, because I hear
Yeah,
that is the general necessary one for most foreigners working in Japan is N2 and
yeah.
1. But
A lot of other fields definitely you need the N2 N1, but programming and IT, a lot of those jobs, there are a lot that you don't need it. But if you want to go up, like you want to be
if you want to
managing, you want to
to
go, like,
promote it.
yeah, you want to go to those higher positions where you're going to be in those meetings and such, then you definitely need N2, N1.
Do you have any do you have any of the tests already before you go to Japan?
I was thinking about doing this summers, and I was studying. I was like in the zone, just trying to see if I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And up to the deadline, I was testing, like doing like the mock test and
Which
trying to
level? Which level are you?
N2,
N2.
N2. I'm not
Oh,
wasting no time.
oh.
I'm like, there's no point to do N3 because you look anywhere, there's no point.
Okay, N2 directly to N2.
Directly N2. So I tried all these mock tests, and every time I would just get blown up by them. Like, and
Was it
it was
that shit?
always just grammar points when it came to reading, and it's like I understand all of these other answers except this one. I know it's the right answer because the other ones don't make sense, but I don't know this grammar point.
Mm.
And I look at my notes. I'm like, okay, I'm studying. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get to this grammar when. Oh, okay, in at the rate I'm going, maybe in a couple of days, maybe it might be next
Oh,
week.
I see. Your studying level is not up to the level of the test proficiency that you need for
Yeah,
to pass the test that you believe comfortable to pass the
yeah.
test.
So I said, okay, let me wait on this, and I'm gonna do it in the winter.
Okay.
No, probably, and at that time I'll probably be in Japan. I'll do it there.
Oh, you can do the test. Oh, okay. I didn't know you could do the test in Japan. So you can do the.
Yeah, the test is global, but certain
Ah.
places only have it either a summer or a winter. Like for example, if I want to do it in Toronto, you could only do it in winter.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
if I wanted to do it in the summer, I would have probably flown over to like Alberta
Oh.
because yeah, Alberta they have both the summer and winter JLPT.
I think they used to have summer and winter here prior to COVID, but I think they changed that. So I don't know if that's true.
Actually, they never did.
Oh,
Not
did it?
as long as
Oh, okay.
as long as I've been studying Japanese, Toronto only had winter.
You are right. Never mind. Because I got my results in the summer. Sorry. I did
Yeah,
mine in the
yeah,
winter and I got my results in the summer. My
yeah.
apologies. You are correct. Um, so putting together this the process for the certificate of eligibility, what kind of challenges did you run into?
There wasn't really any challenges. It was just a lot of just gathering work.
Translated them into Japanese, I presume.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot that doesn't need to, but yeah, there's a lot of key points that does need translation. And that's luckily like my wife was able to do that for me, especially. But the hardest one was actually the your plan, like writing out like what you want to do, what's your plan when you're in Japan and stuff like that. That is like literally like an essay.
so for that plan, because I'm curious for that, does that plan have to be very specific, or can it be? Is there a lot of room for? Because I think there is a perception from especially myself or any maybe from Westerners that think that Japanese is very rule based. So is it very much like I'm going to be doing this, this, and this, or can it be like I am planning to do this? I would like to find a job, as opposed to being I have this job lined up. I have these interviews already picked out to work at this company. How strict is this? Um,
Or for my situation, it wasn't strict because I have a family to like stay with. I
ah,
would assume that if depending on your situation, how strict that has to be. Like if you're going there on your own or something like that, or like you're tighter on funds or something like that, probably your plan needs to be more rigid. But my plan was a lot more open like open-ended in what I was gonna do out there, and laying out what my skills is, what I can potentially do, and what I can hopefully look for, while I still have family to stay with, so I can keep low on using funds. So that, yes.
Just about just a few more questions I have for you. And when it comes to job searching in Japan, what is for a foreigner? What is the best method to pursue? I know you haven't gotten your job yet, but what are the methods will you be using to find a job in Japan?
So I originally wanted to work with recruiters in Japan,
Mm.
but I would get to a roadblock where they're like, "Oh, do you have a working visa or like spouse visa? Or, like, are you in the country?" And once I got to that point, I'm like, I can't. They're like, I cannot help you anymore.
Oh, really? Is it because you didn't have your visa yet?
Yes, like they
Oh.
can help me up to a certain point, but it's like if you don't have the visa, it, they can't really work with you. They don't have the means to do much outside of that. There's certain regulations and such.
Okay, but you're getting the visa, so once you have the visa, they will look at you, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah.
Okay.
So other than that, I was like using. There's a lot of sites out there for IT to a lot of there's a big community to actually help each other out, and I was able to connect with these different companies.
Uh, sorry, is it like an English and expat community, or is that a Japanese community to help find
Expect
job?
me,
Oh,
expect.
okay, 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 cool. And then your your place to live. So 日本語で
住んでた。そう、東京の辺に住みたい。
日本中にどこに住んでたい？うん。
東京、横浜、千葉、船橋、うん、の辺
あ、
住みたい。
奥さんの実家が千葉で、そして最初は千葉住んでて、
うん、最初は、桂住んで、会社、始めて、
初めて引っ越し
うん、
て他の場所、あ、そっか、東京と関東、特に関東です。
関
うん、
東。
そうそうそう。ジュメインさん、関東の人、関東人みたい。All right, and then do you have any recommendations for anybody who would be moving to Japan? What would you recommend? Someone advice if they were to follow the same
Hmm.
path as you?
Hmm. A good advice I would say is I would say to save up.
Mm.
I feel that like if you're going the same route as me, then I know that your relationship is gonna be legitimate, full of love and everything. Like they will see that. But I
How
feel
wait?
that
How do they see that? Do they see that in like your eyes, your pictures? Like what's
you're
like?
gonna see, you're gonna show that. I had to show
Ah.
7 years of like photos.
Okay.
It was so nostalgic. We're getting emotional
Ah.
looking at this stuff.
Kawaii.
But but the thing is, I think just having your funds in place
Mm.
with that, they will see that you will be okay.
Mm.
I think that is a worry that you'll be out there, you're gonna be out of a job, you're gonna be out of luck, and then it's like, what are you gonna be doing? You're on the streets, something like that. They don't want that.
Did they take a because you had funds? Because you didn't have a job? Did they require you to have more funds than maybe they might ask someone who did have a job?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That because I have not got a response of like why they don't tell
Accepted
you
you. They
why
don't tell you. Oh, okay.
they're just like you're just accepted. So they know it was part of the plan that I was not working at the point that I applied, but I don't know if the funds were the
Did
reason. But
they did they tell you how much funds you need to have before you? Do they tell you in advance, or is it like in the
they don't.
application? No.
They do not tell you. They
Oh.
do not tell you. This stuff you just have to say. There are agents that specialize in these forms, and we were in contact with one that kind of gave us some information that says like this is a certain good amount,
Okay.
But it all depends on what your actual plan is.
Okay. Oh, that's so mysterious. Okay. But that Japanese in a nutshell. Okay, I think we'll open up for questions. If there are questions, I think we can use the raise hand button for real this time for actual like questions. So if there are any questions and someone wants to take the floor and ask direct questions, um, raise a hand or maybe just let me know and we can do some questions here. Oh, Brett-san, go ahead. You have the floor.
So, you guys, is my voice terrible?
No,
No,
you're fine.
Oh, okay. Um, see, you got the spousal visa. What implication does that have in terms of like long or permanent residency?
Oh,
oh, okay.
Do you still have to wait 10 years for permanent residency? Do you get a shorter time? Do you automatically get it? Like, what's the deal with that?
that's a good
Oh,
question.
that I am not sure. And then which level, like how fast or not, if I were to apply for it, if I could apply for it earlier than being living there.
Is permanent residency in your plan? Are you planning to be a permanent resident or citizen of Japan? Is that in there?
I plan to be, depending if they allow me to renew. So this visa,
Hmm.
even though I got it, it's only for 1 year, and I'm
Only
gonna have
one
to
year.
go through the process. I have to go through the process of renewing it.
Do you have? Can you stay in the country while you renew it?
Yes,
Oh,
while you're in the process, this is similar in Canada. If you're in the process, as well, you don't have to leave
okay.
while you're in the process.
Okay. That's good to know. Okay. So we don't. The answer is we don't know yet, Brent. We don't know if it'll give you a shortcut. But
So you might still have to do the whole like point system, like prove that you're a skilled worker, all that nonsense.
to get
Actually, that part I don't have to do.
for permanent
That
resident,
part,
For permanent residency.
over permanent resident, yeah, I would maybe have to do so.
we'll see. Maybe in the future it might change. Cross fingers, everybody. I think Japan is going through a
Yeah.
small mini crisis. So who knows? For us foreigners, we might get new opportunities in the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up and see what happened, how long that.
All right. So any other questions? Thank you, Brett. That was good. You can also ask. You also put up your hand up. Oh, sorry. There's another question in the chat. Are spouse visa holders allowed to work in Japan legally without getting a work visa?
It is more powerful than the work visa.
More
So
powerful.
I can work without. The spouse visa is like I have a work visa. It's a little bit more stronger than that.
That's a good question. So does the spouse visa give you maybe more privileges in the sense that you don't are less likely to be removed from the country or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it does.
It's kind of like a permanent residence without the permanent residence, I guess.
Like just a little bit lower
Yeah.
than that.
As long as you're, I presume, does you being your spouse a conditional of this visa? Like, if, for example,
Yes. I would assume so.
okay, but like I say, hypothetical, like if for some reason you and your spouse are no longer together within the time of your visa, or is there any kind of situation like do you lose that visa immediately, or do you anything like that?
I probably wouldn't be able to do a renewal
Reno.
of it.
Okay. Well, this is, I guess, is a good important. Wondering if it translates to residency or even
So,
temporary residence. Okay.
so a lot of the recruiters were asking me like, do I have work visa or spouse visa? Whenever they are asking.
So it feels
me out.
interchangeable. Okay.
Yeah.
Lisan, yes.
What kind of tax problems have you had to deal with for the move?
None yet, because I haven't transferred funds over into a Japanese account or anything yet, or anything of the sort. And I haven't lived there or anything yet, so I'm also looking to see what's going to happen tax wise.
What I personally, and this isn't tax advice, but I'll say is, but like when you for Canada, when you leave, if those who are in Canada and they want to leave, you have to show the Canadian government, CRA, sorry, not the Canadian government, CRA specifically, that you have no ties to the country. So Jermaine here would, if he has his house or condo, he'd have to get rid of it if he would like to be a tax resident of Japan. But that is not like, that's if you want to change your tax residency.
By the time I'm there, I'm still gonna have to do my taxes here.
Yes.
Because in Japan, you have, if you're there for 6 months or more, your taxes are there. And the same thing with Canada. It depends on where your majority living.
And there's also, I don't know if Japan does, but a lot of countries will also have taxation treaties, so you don't get double taxed.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Japan is one of the countries. So
I believe Japan and Canada are.
I think so.
I believe the U.S. is not. The U.S. is they're a little more strict. Even if you're living.
Well, yeah. Well, U.S. is different. U.S. has global tax. No matter wherever you go, no matter where you live, as long as you're a United States citizen, you will be taxed at the United States rate. But I believe Japan and Canada, and I think Canada with a lot of countries. Canada has a lot of countries where they have a double taxation treaty, so that you will pay like the tax wherever it is higher, I guess, depending on the country. But that will require an accountant. So I'll definitely recommend an accountant. But you won't be losing your tax residency. You'll still be Canadian citizen. You're Canadian tax resident here, and you will just be earning money in Japan, and then you'll have to do dual. You'll file your taxes with Canada / whatever remittance has to be to Japan, I presume.
Yeah, if I have to do both.
You'll have to do both, I presume.
I'll do both.
All right, cool. Thank you, Lee. Any other questions? That's a good tax question. That's a good one. We would probably need to follow up on that one. I'm curious to know in the future after. You are moving when? Sorry, that's a good one.
I'm moving. So I have to go by the end of July.
They're like, get out. You have to go to Japan by the end of July. You must be
because when I said the eligibility is only for 3 months, you have to go to the embassy, apply for the visa, and then you have to literally go to Japan. And when you're going through, you'll then receive your visa there at the airport.
Okay, so you have to go to physical Japan soil. You can't go to the Japanese embassy in Canada to get this. You must go to Japan to get it.
You apply for it wherever you are, and then when you go to Japan, you get it.
Okay. Whew. And then can you stay there once you've gotten once you go to July and you pick it up, can you stay in Japan from there? You can. Okay.
Oh yeah, and I can also leave and come back. But I have to go there first.
Okay.
Actually, if I don't do so, then it expires, and I gotta do the entire process again.
Does the 1 year start? 1 year start from the day you pick it up?
Yes.
Okay.
The day I pick it up.
All right. Any other questions for Jermaine and the movement of person from one country to the next? Opening the floor. All right. We'll give it a few more seconds. Well, Jermaine, I think that was fantastic. If there are any closing remarks or thoughts regarding this process, that if you were to do it again, would you do it the same way?
I think I'll do it the same way. Just be thorough in everything that you're submitting. I think that's the most very important thing. Just be thorough.
Be thorough. Okay. And they didn't. I should have asked this part earlier, but when you were filling it out, it was all application based, so you didn't have to do an interview with anybody from Japan. So it was all paper based.
All paper based.
That's good, actually. All paper based. So that your wife filling it out, they couldn't tell your handwriting from hers. They didn't it doesn't matter. Someone filled it out. It doesn't matter who fills out the application.
In a way, it's the eligibility is for the both of us. She's representing me in a way. And I'm presenting myself, this is who I am, and this is us as a couple. This is who we are. Show all the pictures and everything, and what we want to do, and what's the plan. So it was not just about me. It was about the both of us.
You know what? And before I end this interview off, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, how does your wife's parents fit into the whole process of you being moved? I'm presuming they've been very supportive. But
They are sponsoring. They are one of my sponsors on the eligibility.
So they're definitely 100% on board.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. Okay. If there aren't any other questions or there's any questions for Jermaine, I am going to wrap up this interview or stop recording it so that those who want to see it later on, they have a recording. I want to say first, thank you so much, Jermaine, for
Thank you.
sharing your experience and letting us know what it was like to go through this certificate of eligibility. I'm excited for you to go to Japan, and I said when I go to Japan and you're in Japan, we're gonna
We'll meet up. We'll meet up.
we're gonna meet up and we'll be too crazy gakukujin in Japan. Respectfully in Japan, respectfully in Japan, but in Japan at the same time, living it up. So doing our best Japanese life. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Jermaine. I'm gonna stop my recording now. Whoop.